how's it going? I hope you are doing just as good as I'm doing today. I am pretty tired. If you have been tuning in past couple of days, a lot of tea to spill. And, I will always be in high hopes. I'm keeping my shit together. I'm all good. But, it drains you, especially mentally. And it's hard to not take a second to breathe, But gym went well. Very happy with how I performed. 290 on bench, flying. I didn't even realize how much I was supposed to be doing today. And 5 sets of 4 at 290 is kind of wacky. That's very close to 300 for some high rep ranges. And I was like, shit, that is some new weight. Snatches felt a little weird. I'm slowly weaning myself off of using wrist wraps, unless it's like a peak week, because I haven't been doing that in a little while. But every time I feel like my wrist maybe giving a little inch of pain, because I've had a history of wrist issues, especially on my left wrist. I just want to make sure that I'm not going to get injured. They're not like wraps that tighten at all. They're just meant to keep my hand from hyperextending. But it feels a lot more natural to go without them now. So I'm going to just try to run it as long as I can. Physically, I can give it a solid 7.89. It's not as high as I might be willing to give myself, but today's one of those days where the low mental energy is dragging the physical a little bit. I'm always able to dial in, commit, get the weights over my head, and trying the best that I can do. And I think I progressed my form well throughout the snatches, because I started a little rocky, and benching with any sort of Olympic lift it's fucking hard. But I'm proud of my performance, but mentally, I'm gonna just leave it at a flat 7. I feel like 7 is around my average, not my average, but like that's one of those numbers where like it's not too low, but today was a very like I'm good, everything's progressing positively in my life, but I'm tired. I can't lie to myself. I am pretty damn exhausted. Just to get into it, based off of how I'm talking, you might have already guessed, but we're going to talk about how you might deserve a little break. There's such a stigmatism in this world because of how much pressure is put on you as a young kid, or just any point in your life, that you got to work and make sure you get ahead of the curve or whatever. And it's really easy to forget that sometimes you got to take the day, and not just with life, with like jobs and the material bullshit, but the personal, emotional and mental bullshit as well. Everything affects you, no matter how much you want to ignore it or replace those feelings with other occurrences in your daily life. Because I know a lot of people will ignore their emotional self because they put so much time and effort into their career and work, and that's fine to a certain degree, but the longer you avoid certain parts of yourself, the more it builds up, and it will explode if you do not let that shit out. So to me, I know that like a lot of people will be like, oh well, I'm just gonna take a day whenever I want to then, if you're gonna be so lax about it. It's like, no, that's not what I mean. You obviously can't just like abandon your fucking responsibilities in life, and especially not the necessities of your basic biological survival. You need food. You need to be able to pay the bills to put the roof over your head. I get that. But whenever you got like a moment that you think that you could actually like really chill out, but you're thinking about all these things that you may have due, or all these things that you might want to get ahead on, you just it can be nice to program it, maybe, compared to weightlifting a little bit. As weird as it may sound, it can be very helpful to schedule one day out of the week that is flexible around your work schedule, to where like I have my rest days from the gym, and I go to the gym almost every day throughout the week. So whenever I don't go to the gym, I have a lot more energy, and it feels a lot more deserving to chill out that day. So, even if I've got a lot of homework due that week, if it's not due the next day or that night, and I've gotten ahead of it otherwise on the other days, then I know that I can just kind of, relax a little bit, spend a good 24 hours not worrying about getting ahead of everybody else, and just making sure I stay in my own lane and take care of myself. You can only go so long before your body's going to implode mentally and physically. And with all the videos that I've made, I'm sure you guys have seen me implode. But regardless of that, it's okay to implode. But when that happens, you got to understand that that's just a sign that your body needs some goddamn rest. Like, if you're sleeping consistently throughout the entire day and not getting anything done, that's probably because you're not getting anything done, and your body's just getting used to not doing as much. But when you're consistent, and you're consistent, you get at least the minimum of what you think you got to get done to maintain yourself and be happy in your life, especially in your daily life. It's not just about the long term. Then if you're sleeping all day with that kind of a schedule, it's probably a fucking sign that you've been overworking, again, I get it. There's some hard heads, and not in a bad way. If this is how you enjoy living, go for it. But there are some people who are just like, God damn it, there's never enough work. I gotta work all day, every day, and I gotta make enough money because that's just what I live for. And again, that can correlate with people's passions. Even though a lot of people who value monetary stuff over the personal individuality you have in life and among the people around you in your social circles, people can still find passions throughout their want to build up their material life as well. Again, I think that if you avoid your personal self, your mental and emotional well-being, it will eventually come out on somebody, and you never want that. But I know plenty of people who've spent their whole life working as hard as they can, working 5 jobs, getting to the point where they can make millions and be completely set, but they just can't stop working. It's a mindset. I've said this so many times. People's standards are different in life. You can't just because I am not the guy that's wanting to go make the fucking 8-figure salary and go goddamn crazy with my career and put work above everything else. It doesn't mean it's wrong to. It's just, again, I've said this about so many people, where even if you're a bad guy doing bad things, hurting other people, I'd rather you just commit to your life and do what the fuck you want to and avoid the people that aren't about that life. It's the people who are living the way they want to are the most happy, regardless of how negative their outcomes may be. And I do believe that the people who commit to those negative lifestyles will eventually have the karma catch up to them. No matter how small the punishment, everything comes back, negative and positive. But more than that, I'm not trying to get too convoluted with all this shit, but I think people don't give themselves enough credit along the way, and that lack of acknowledgement for your own efforts, especially when the people around you seeing you become so successful personally, because again, everybody's standard is different. So when you are telling people, oh, I've never been better, all this shit's going so great, there are going to be people in your life that see that, and they're going to naturally want to put you down because of the stigmatisms that they've been grown up with, to think that they got to be ahead of you, and it's not. I'm sure a lot of it isn't like a natural want to harm the other person. I think it's very rare that somebody comes after someone purposefully to harm them. It's just different mindsets not working well together, so if that's how people are going to treat you, then move on. Let those people go do them, and you go do you, and you're both probably going to be happier because of it. But all I'm saying is, when it comes to the video games you want to play, the hobbies you want to do, sleeping for 12 hours straight with no worry in the world some days, you can do that sometimes. It's okay. I'm giving you permission because I'm sure a lot of people in your life have not given you that permission. So it's okay. I promise. You can go take a little day off and enjoy yourself. And as long as you don't deviate too far from the normal schedule in your life, I've taken chill days on days where I still go to the gym. But just because I went to the gym and did the minimal stuff that I needed to do that day doesn't mean I still didn't relax comparatively of what my aspirational days may look like. There are going to be days where you are the most inspired and you're going to get all the world's work done in one fucking sitting, and you're going to feel awesome about yourself, and I guarantee you the next day it is never going to be as productive, and you're going to be like, man, I guess I'm just not productive as a person. And it's like, no, you just went out of your comfort zone, which is not a bad thing, and did a little bit of extra. So because you did that extra, you got to also understand that, one, your body's going to need rest to recover from it, regardless of how stupid the work may seem to other people or not intensive enough to other people. But you need to, one, be able to have give your body the rest that it needs to come back from it, and two, accept that you deserve that goddamn day of rest. Like, come on now. Like, let's be real. Everybody's going to tell you you're not working hard enough. Because the aspirations that you tell people that you want to meet, they're going to look at you and be like, oh, well, it's not my life, so I'm going to give you the simple, straight-up logical answer of, oh, well, if you just do this, this, and this, and you'll get there, But it might not be within your parameters of the energy that you're able to put into your life, That's perfectly fine. So once you accept that you're putting in the energy that you got in the day into whatever you wanted to do, and it's always going to change every day. You may put in a shit ton of work one day and no work the next day. But just know that the more work that you put in within your typical scheduled daily life, the more you deserve to take that time to chill out. I'm getting ahead of all my school. I'm trying to apply to jobs right now. I got some licensing stuff set up. I'm still going to the gym, trying to keep all my social life intact, even though everybody's trying to leave town on me. And I'm gonna go on vacation too at some point during Christmas break. And when I get there, I'm going to be like, all right, I deserve this break. And so while I'm on the break, even though it seems minimal to my normal schedule, I'm still going to try to do some push-ups. I'm still going to try to do some body weight mobility stretching, whatever that can keep me a little bit consistent, just enough to where I can come back and just jump right back on it to where I left off with a bunch more energy than I left off in the first place. Because again, when you give yourself the rest that you need and the rest that you quite frankly deserve, you will come back twice as motivated and twice as prepared. I love making people, whenever somebody tries to have me spot them on a max, something I'll do to fake them out a little bit, it always works though, is they'll come up to me and they'll be like, oh, can you spot me? And I'm like, all right, tell me exactly when you're gonna do it and just trust me on what I want you to do, all right? And they'll be like, all right, like, as long as it doesn't get in the way of my lift. I'm like, I promise you it's gonna help. And they're like, all right, bet, that's all better. And so they'll come up to me a couple minutes later, and they'll be like, oh, I'm going for it. This is it. Let's go. And I'll be like, all right, look at the clock. You now have 60 seconds, and then you can go. And those 60 seconds, after he or she already got hyped the fuck up to do it, they will be staring at that clock like it's a demon. The amount of motivation they're going to get because they're so antsy and raring to go, it just builds up so much more when you are like forced to just kind of sit there and just really stare at it, and forcing yourself to take that time of rest that you need and that you deserve to take, It's never a rush. It's always at your own pace, and quite frankly, you'll never be happier unless you take it at your own pace, regardless of what you think. So, if your pace is fast as fuck, you go for it. If you're slow as fuck, join the majority. But regardless of that, take it with a grain of salt. It's your life. Do what you want with it. We're going to be eating pie tonight because it's rest day tomorrow, and I am excited to rest. And with all the bullshit that's happened in my family in the past week alone, I'll be sleeping in tomorrow. I'm not going to worry about a damn thing. So, do what you want with that. That's all I got. Bye.